Well, the first game of the season for two-story programs could have some implications later this year when number 5 Notre Dame plays on the road in Columbus against number 2 Ohio State on Saturday night. A lot of pressure for both schools out the gate here, and maybe more so for Ohio State. The Buckeyes, despite a win over Utah at the Rose Bowl back on January 1st, the Buckeyes had a subpar season based on their lofty standards and what has Ryan Day is set up there. But Marcus Freeman, his first game at the helm here and first full season as the head coach for the Irish here, taking over. You take a look at the numbers there. The Buckeyes, they won 22 straight season openers, longest active streak in college football. And of course, Marcus Freeman, I mentioned, replacing Brian Kelly, who's now at LSU. The program looking to improve on that 11-2 record a season ago. Also staying in conversation along with the Buckeyes. The closer we get to what? That CFP, which is always hanging before we even get to week 1. All right, co-host of the Cover 3 podcast, Tom Fornelli, checking in this morning, bright and early on HQ with us, I must say there. But earlier this week, Marcus Freeman, sharing his thoughts on that 17.5 spread. In other words, didn't like it. Some bulletin board material for his guys, but convinced me that that spread is too big for this game.
Oh, I'll say there are two different ways you could look at the spread. If you are Marcus Freeman, you're saying we're one of the top 5 teams in the country and we're 17.5-point underdogs to Ohio State. But the other side of that is Ohio State might just be so good that it's going to be 17.5-point favorites over another team that will be contending for a playoff spot. But of course, Marcus Freeman doesn't really want to have to spin that to his team. He's trying to motivate his team going into the season opener to play the Buckeyes. And all he has to do is point to last September. Oregon was a 15-point underdog going on the road to play Ohio State in Ohio Stadium. They came out of there with a 35-28 win that nobody saw coming. And if I'm Notre Dame, I'm saying, listen, Oregon was only ranked 12th last year. We're ranked number 5. People look at us. We're a team that's been to the college football playoff twice in the last few years. We were nearly there last season. If we go on the road and beat this Ohio State team that didn't even win its conference last season, we're going to be right back in the college football playoff picture. And I know for Marcus Freeman, this is a very tough test. It's his first game as the head coach. As you mentioned, he's replaced Brian Kelly, who's gone to LSU. He coached in the bowl game, but this is the first regular season game that's truly going to count on the record. And it's against one of the best teams in the country. But this Notre Dame squad, Brian Kelly left. There's still plenty of talent on this team. Tyler Buckner stepping in at quarterback. There's talent on offense. There's talent at tight end and Michael Mayer. The defense is solid. This is not a situation where Brian Kelly left the cabinet empty, and Marcus Freeman has had a big role in making sure that that cabinet wasn't empty, as he's been the lead recruiter for this program the last couple of years, and he has stocked this team full of talent. They might not be as good as Ohio State. They might be 17.5-point favorites, but they can go in and win this game.
You mentioned, of course, the talent there for the Irish on the offensive side, but when we talk about Ohio State, we know what they have on their offense. It's the question marks on defense with defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. On a scale from 1 to 10, the amount of pressure for him coming into this game.
I'm going to put it at a 6.5, because when you're the defensive coordinator of a team that's probably going to score 40 points per game this season, it eases the pressure on you a little bit. But when you look at the way the sport has evolved over recent years, it's always down to the new offensive coordinator or the new quarterback that teams are looking at as the savior to fix things that have gone wrong. It's not often you look at a defensive coordinator as the guy that's tasked to come in and save the program, but that's essentially the situation Jim Knowles is dealing with in Columbus, because Ohio State's offense is going to be fine. What killed the Buckeyes in recent years and what has kept them out of the college football playoff last year, we mentioned that Oregon lost at home last season, is a defense that has not lived up to the standards set during Urban Meyer's tenure. That is the one area Ryan Day's Ohio State teams have lacked in comparison to the Urban Meyer regime that he replaced. And Jim Knowles is a coach that last season at Oklahoma State, he took over this program. 2017 season, the year before he got there, Oklahoma State ranked 74th nationally in pressure rate against quarterbacks. Knowles' very first season, they improved to 44th. Last year, they ranked 5th. Ohio State has gone the complete opposite direction. And when you look at Ohio State, you think of its past, you see draft picks like Chase Young, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, guys that were going in the top 5 of the NFL draft as edge rushers because their specialty was getting after the quarterback. Ohio State has still recruited that level of talent in recent seasons, but with its defensive coordinators under Ryan Day, it has not been able to turn that talent into production on the field. Jim Knowles was able to do that at Oklahoma State. That is going to be his primary focus at Ohio State, and he's got a much more talented roster to deal with than he dealt with at Oklahoma State. If he can get pressure with that Oklahoma State defense, kind of scared to see what he's going to be able to do with this Ohio State defense.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.